I'm not trying to start class war. Class war has already begun. I'm trying to get you to realize you are currently losing. April 3rd, 2014, the People's Radio.
The People's Radio is brought to you by the working class. The thoughts and opinions expressed on the People's Radio do not necessarily reflect the thoughts and opinions of the People's Radio, of the supporters of the People's Radio, or of anyone else. You have been warned.
I'm going to explain to you why your life is about to get worse before it gets better. I'm going to explain to you why you are going to become poorer over the next 10 years. I'm going to explain to you why your family's standard of living is going to go down. You have lost your representation. The Supreme Court says so. And I'm going to explain this using a game called Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering was a card game. Is a card game. It's still around. And this card game was very popular in the late 90s. And even I played it with my friends. Now, you don't need to know the rules to this game to understand the analogy. I will explain enough so that you understand exactly what I'm saying. In Magic the Gathering, you had cards, and these cards had certain abilities and powers. Some of them were creatures, some of them were spells, some of them were enchantments. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is that in the game Magic the Gathering, they have something called mana. And mana are land cards. They're different lands, and these lands provide all of your other cards with power. All right? They are the energy that makes your Magic the Gathering deck work. This is how it works. You lay out a mana card, you lay out a creature card, and if you have enough mana cards, if you have enough power cards, you tap that power, you pull that power out so that you can power up your creature, and then your creature can do whatever it is that he does. Now, the really good players learned very quickly that the game's rules were not as rock solid as the game's makers wanted it to be. They found loopholes because there's an infinite number of combinations of cards. When you're matching abilities with abilities and powers with powers, you can find different combinations. And some of the best Magic the Gathering players discovered really, really early that they could combine cards in order to tap their mana, their power, multiple times. And then, no, I'm not sure anybody knows exactly who was the first one to figure this out, but eventually, players discovered that you could arrange your cards in such a way that you could tap your mana, your power, your land cards infinitely. You could tap them over and over and over and over and over again. You could get an infinite number of power from them. You do not have to surrender your turn. Your turn is not over until you say it's over. You can just keep extracting power. You can keep putting that power into creatures. You can keep putting that power into spells. You can keep putting that power into other cards that give you a draw ability to draw more cards out of the deck. The game became rigged. It became fixed. People discovered loopholes. They found a way to infinitely tap mana, to infinitely extract power from the game. And the game rules had to be adjusted. The official game rules had to be adjusted to compensate for the fact that people were cheating. They were finding a loophole in the system. Now, some people say that's not actually cheating. I understand. I get the whole concept of, you know, a master thief worked to get his bounty or booty. But this is a game, and this game was never intended to be used this way. It was never intended for that land to be tapped an infinite amount of times. And in fact, I do believe, I don't actually play the game anymore, but I do believe that the rule today is that you cannot tap that mana an infinite number of times You have to declare a certain number. Now let me explain the Supreme Court decision, now that you understand that about Magic the Gathering. The Supreme Court basically ruled that wealthy people can now donate the regular way that they currently donate, which we have limitations in place. We do have limitations in place. A single person or entity cannot donate more than a certain amount to a single political person or campaign. That limit is in place, right? But now, the Supreme Court has ruled, because money is speech, the Supreme Court says money is speech, and the Supreme Court says corporations are people. Because money is speech and corporations are people, they can now donate to political campaigns or political persons an infinite number of times. As long as they have the money and as long as they have the entities, they can just keep donating infinitely. Forever. They've learned to tap their mana. They've learned to tap their mana infinitely. The entire game is rigged against you. The entire game now is rigged against you. You no longer have a representation. Folks, let me explain how this works. A politician is your representative. A politician is supposed to represent your interests. In order for him to represent your interests, he must know what your interests are. In order for him to know that, he must have time to actually hear your concern or hear your group or movement's concern. Now that rich people can form an infinite number of super PACs, an infinite number of lobbying groups, an infinite number of donations, they can monopolize all of the politician's time. They can ensure that the politician does not have time for you, because they just form more and more groups, more and more donations, more and more money. It's over. It's over. It was a grand experiment. It was a grand experiment in British colonialism, but it's over. It's over. The game is now officially rigged. They can monopolize all politicians' time. They can monopolize all of politicians' money that they earn during their campaign, all the fundraising. They can literally buy politicians now. The Supreme Court has ruled. That's the power that comes with being a billionaire, with being a one-percenter. If we lived in 1776, the founding fathers, who were not billionaires, by the way, they were millionaires. They were all wealthy. They were all wealthy millionaires, but they were not billionaires. Such an exorbitant amount of wealth, such an amazing amount of wealth was not even conceived of back then. The concept that one man could hold so much wealth was only reserved for monarchs. And you know what the founding fathers thought about the monarchy? They didn't like it. They rebelled against it. They said that all human beings are endowed with inalienable rights. They were rebelling against a monarchy. A monarchy says that you are only given the right to servitude under God. You are only given the right to be a peasant under the feudalist system. That's what a monarchy says. You have the right to work on the land and shut up. That's what a monarchy says. That's what a feudalist system says. And people wonder why I call a capitalist system a feudalist system. That's what you have in America today. The right to work and shut up. If you don't like it, tough. You can't even lobby your politicians. Do you have a lobbyist? Do you? Do you have anyone currently lobbying your politicians for your interests? Do you have anyone whispering in your politician's ear saying, there's a mom down the road. She works 3 jobs and she has 3 kids and she needs a tax break so that she can put food on the table? Do you have anybody telling your political representative that you need help right now? No. You know who does? Bank of America. Wall Street, GM, the auto industry, Silicon Valley and some of their industries, the billionaires themselves, the actual billionaires themselves, the owners of casinos, the owners of your natural gas and fracking mines, the billionaires, your owners, the people who own you, they own the land, they own everything. You have the right to sit down, work, and shut up. You can't even get representation in politics anymore. It's not possible. Your little, tiny amount of money will no longer matter. You see, before 2 days ago, 3 days ago, 4 days ago, 5 days ago, you had a chance because you laid out your mana card, and even though it was just one, and the guy across from you had 5 mana cards, he could only tap his once, and you still got to tap yours once. So even though his money outnumbered you in just sheer volume, you both got a turn. You both got a turn at the politician. The politician got a chance to hear what you needed to say, what your interest and what your movement, what your group, what your corporation, what your entity needed to say. But you don't get a turn now. The Supreme Court has ruled. The billionaires now have the ability to infinitely tap mana. They don't have to give up their turn. Do you understand? The politicians no longer need to come to you to raise money. Now it will just be an infinite parade of oligarch parties. We are entering Soviet Russia. Oligarch parties. That's right. Get ready for them. They're coming. This year. You'll have politicians be shuffled into a private room somewhere, and a group of very well-endowed bank account gentlemen will be there, or gentle ladies, and they will start writing checks. Only, look at what they're doing. They're doing paperwork. They will have 1,000 different entities write 1,000 different checks to one politician so that they can now overcome their limitations. They will literally buy elections. They will infinitely tap mana. They will set up super PACs on paper that exist only on paper. You will now see, and I'm making predictions here. They say in talk radio, never ever make predictions. I want people to know that I'm right. I want people to know that I'm right. You're going to see super PACs be formed just for the sake of funneling money. You're going to see a boom of them. You're going to see a lot more PACs, a lot more super PACs. You're going to see a lot more political action, a lot more money going through politics. The only thing that the Supreme Court has done is said that you can now accelerate further into the political arena. Corporations are people, thus says the Supreme Court. Money is speech, thus says the Supreme Court. And now rich people are allowed to use their speech as many times as they want. Thus says the Supreme Court. They have ruled. The game is fixed. The entire game is fixed against you. You can't win. You cannot win. In Magic the Gathering, when you attempted to play against these people that found these infinite loopholes, you couldn't beat them. Because they found a loophole in the rules itself to just go straight to a win condition. And that's what the billionaires have now. They now have a win condition. They now have the ability to choke out the political arena with so much money that your voice is not heard. Your voice will be drowned out with a barrel of money. Your voice is no longer going to be heard. Before the politicians heard your voice, it was just a faint whisper. But now they won't hear it at all. The only way that you have a chance now is if you join some collective and start fighting back. The workers of this country control absolutely everything. If the workers of this country decided tomorrow not to go to work, the politicians and the billionaires would be bit over a barrel. They would be at your mercy. They would be begging you to work. Please go back to work, they would say. Please, please go back to work. The worker has all the power. I wish I could just go back to talking about the singularity. Here we go. Breaking news. Mini robot space surgeon climbs inside astronauts' bodies, then performs surgery. Let me explain this. NASA is making a device that would ride along with astronauts in space, and if astronauts got sick and they needed surgery, the robot would make an incision above their belly button and then crawl inside of them and perform the surgery. We live in the singularity, folks. We live in exponential technological growth. If NASA can make this, if NASA can make this work, if NASA can get a little robot to do surgery on humans, then they can mass produce it for everybody. Everybody can have this technology. Everybody on planet Earth can have a little personal robot that fixes you whenever you're sick. But the reason why this program exists, the reason why this radio program exists is because they're trying to deny you that. They're trying to set up a separate society is what they're doing. They're trying to say that this technology that you, humanity, earned by standing on the shoulders of yourselves. They're trying to say that this technology that is your birthright, that you deserve, you don't get because you're poor. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to set up a separate society. Paul Ryan spoke out against child lunch programs for poor kids. He spoke out against free lunch for poor kids. What has our society come to? What has our society come to? When the politicians are on national TV talking about we need to take a sandwich out of the hands of a poor, starving child, I am not the crazy person for yelling into a microphone once a week. I am the sane, rational person who's trying to get everybody else to wake the fuck up! What is wrong with you all? We are taking food away from children because they've given it a marketing slogan. They call it entitlement. It's a fucking sandwich for a poor child. How well can a poor child perform on a test with an empty stomach? Do we really expect them to be able to compete? No. The wealthy kids that have a full belly would perform better on the exams. Paul Ryan doesn't give a shit about poor people. He wants to tilt the game so that rich people get all the breaks. They want to build Elysium. They want to build a separate society. They want to build... Folks, they are taking your technology. They are taking your money. And now they've cut back. They keep cutting back more and more and more and more and more. According to a recent report from the International Monetary Fund, income inequality has risen. All advanced economies over the past 2 decades, including the U.S., the share of income captured by the richest 10%, the top 10% of the United States population has jumped from 30% to 48% between 1980 and 2012. While the portion grasped by the population's richest 1% has doubled from 8 to 19%. Doubled. You have to understand, These numbers represent like the absolute wealthiest, the largest majority of our money, the largest majority of our wealth, and they are getting twice as much of it. You remember back in the days of the Silicon Valley boom? Remember when Bill Gates was jumping over office chairs and celebrating how he was rich, bitch? And he was talking about how I got more money than I can ever spend in my entire life. And everybody was saying, wow, look at this economic boom. Look at this capitalist miracle. Well, he's doubled his money. He already had so much money he couldn't spend it in his lifetime. Well, guess what? He's doubled his money. The rate of money going into his bank account has increased. He now makes more money today than he did back then. And this is coming from a man who claims that he's giving away his fortune. Are you kidding me? If Bill Gates and Warren Buffett are giving away their fortune, I would love to give away my fortune. This is sickening. This is sickening. Other data shows in 2009, the 1% captured 95% of all income gains, and the bottom 90% of the workforce just got poorer. They didn't even gain much. The bottom 90%, that's you. That is you, the listener. That is you, the listener. Listen to me. You have gotten poorer. They have gotten richer. You are now poorer today than you would have been, that you should be. This is not about hard work. This is not about entitlements. This is about fair share. This is about the fact that we have 8 billion people all trying to get cheese. And there are 100 people standing on top of all of the cheese, and they're throwing crumbs to 7.99999 billion people. This is class war. This is absolute class war. The class warfare has begun. The 1% has taken over. And they are now sucking the workforce dry of all money. And they won't stop until they have it all. Let me explain it. Let me explain how it works. It's not that a single individual human being is inherently evil. It's the psychology of owning so much combined with the mask of a corporation. The fact that a human being can hide behind a corporation. Folks, let me explain to you right now why corporations need to be banned from the human race forever. Corporations are a legal entity. They exist on paper. The original idea was that a corporation could be formed and could exist in order to protect you and your family's liability. Let me give an example. I've been working on OFH. OFH has been working with drones. So let's say I've got the next greatest thing with drones, and I'm flying a drone around, and I crash it into somebody, and I hit them, and I hurt them, and they sue me for $8 million. Perfectly plausible scenario in today's society. The corporation itself gets sued, and I am spared. My personal finances are never, ever touched. Ever. Even though I flew the drone, I designed it, I built it, I flew it, I controlled it, and I crashed it. Even though I am guilty of all of these things, I could stand in court, hold up a piece of paper that says, yeah, that drone was owned by a corporation, and it was being piloted by an employee of the corporation during the time of the malfunction, and I am now removed of all liability. The court would actually have to discover that I was like negligent or something like that, and there's no possible way they're going to discover that because the corporation's not going to give the court any information, right? Do you really think corporations like willingly hand over all data whenever there's a investigation like that? Look at the GM recall right now. Look at how many years they dragged their feet. It was, what was it, 2005, so more than 10 years now The 2002 through 2005 models, the ignition switches, we're looking at like 10 years, thereabouts, somewhere around 10 years. GM dragged their feet. People were dying of this problem, and they knew that the problem existed, and they just ignored it for years and years and years and years. It's because you don't have the liability. It's not because corporations are just evil. It's because when you get individuals together and you tell them, okay, your job is to come together as a group and to get as much profit as you possibly can. And then you give them a legal entity on paper to protect them from almost anything that they do, right? So their liability has now been reduced. So now they can pursue profits. They can pursue greed. They can pursue selfishness without ever being held liable. That is the cocktail for evil. That is why we now live in this capitalist monarch system where the moneyed people, the 1%, has become a cancer on our society, and they are growing out their tendrils and they are sucking us dry. They're taking all of your wages. They're taking all of your fellow man's wages. They're taking away your right to talk to your politicians. They are making sure you get less and less every single day, and they get more and more every single day. And it's all based on a flawed premise. It's all based on the flawed premise that there is an infinite amount of wealth to create, and that is absolutely not true. We are currently imprisoned on this planet. This is our home. There is only so much resources around. But the resources is really not the problem right now. We don't have to worry about running out of coal. We don't have to worry about running out of oil in our lifetimes. We don't have to worry about running out of natural gas in our lifetimes. We have 100 years of natural gas. I don't plan to live another 100 years. Do you plan to live 100 years? And that's what they're thinking. They're thinking, fuck our kids. Fuck the next generation. Nobody cares. We're just going to extract what we have now. And they think that we'll just come up with a technological solution in the future. That's true. That's true. At least they have that right. There is a technology advance coming. A technology advance unlike anything you've ever seen before. And it's going to decimate everything. The political landscape will be a wasteland. The capitalist system will be an abandoned amusement park. We will look back and we will smile at how far we have come in such a little amount of time. But first, we have to do something about this income inequality. We have to do something about the fact that one family can earn more money than 4 billion workers. Workers. I'm not talking about a human being sitting at home, because that's the Republican conservative argument. Well, those people aren't working. Those poor people don't have jobs. Well, that's funny. That's funny. U.S. Washington. Here we go. Blah, blah. Washington sliced $8.7 billion from the food stamp program in February, even though 47 million people, or 1 in 7 Americans, right? This is from Michael Schumann's Time magazine article. War against the poor may be most pronounced in the U.S. Washington sliced $8.7 billion from the food stamp program in February, even though 47 million people, or 1 in 7 Americans, are currently on it. No. It gets worse. The Republican argument is these are poor people sitting at home not working. 60%, this is according to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, 60% of families with children that receive food stamps have a member of the family that currently works full-time. There you have it. There you have it. The majority of Americans on welfare, they are working. They are working Americans, and they just want enough money to buy food. They want enough money to buy diapers. They want enough money to pay their house payment, their mortgage payment, their car payment, their insurance payment, their dental bill, their medical bill. They just want a share. They just want their fair share. They just want to live the American dream. They want to be able to pursue happiness. That's all they want. That's all they want out of life is just a little bit. They don't want mansions. They don't want gold. They just want to be happy and content in their lives so that they can feel free. I want to talk about the IPCC report, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Let me explain what this is. This is a group of scientists. This is what I support. This is what the People's Radio supports. This is what you support. Technocrats, technocrating. Experts getting together to expert. These scientists and engineers of the world getting together to hammer out the best and brightest ideas, the latest data and trends, and basically come to a consensus. They meet, they examine all of the facts, and then they come to a conclusion. Right? That's basically the easiest way to explain this. These are scientists from all over the world, from all different types of countries. More than 3 countries, more than 6 countries, more than 12 countries. There's a lot of fucking countries involved. These are scientists and engineers, climate scientists that have all come together. They all have different political beliefs. It's not like a group of capitalists are getting together to decide, or it's not like a group of socialists are getting together to decide. It's not like a group of liberals are just getting together to just make stuff up, make up some climate change hoax or conspiracy in order to get a 2% carbon tax, which is what I think Al Gore wanted. And that's why they started the whole, it's a hoax, Al Gore's just making it up. No, he wasn't making it up. It's real. IPCC report just came out. And there's a lot of information, there's a lot of data, there's a lot to go over. But this is basically what followers of Organizing for Humanity and the People's Radio need to know. 2046. The death of humanity. We live on this little blue planet. This little blue speck. It really is just a speck of dust when you look at the universe, in the context of the universe, in our cosmic backyard, in our place in it. We are just a speck of dirt that is clumped together around a star. And we are tiny, teeny tiny. We are an extremely small species. We are an extremely small planet around an extremely small star. You should go to the internet sometime when you have an extra 30 seconds, like right now. And you should type in star size comparison. And you'll get pictures, graphics of our star compared to some of the larger stars that we know exist, that we've seen with our own eyes, that we've measured with our own equipment, right? And we find out that our star, even though our star to us is huge, it's just a little baby. It's just a speck compared to some of the stars out there. Right? The point is, it's not our planet that is in trouble. I want to be very clear about this. I can run out the door right now and just start spraying motor oil all over my lawn. I can start spraying hairspray into the air. I can start burning coal in my backyard in a furnace, and we can all do that. We can all do it. We can all just say, fuck it. Let's just burn it all. We can start taking coal, raw coal out of the ground and just start consuming it like crazy. We can do this. And the planet will survive. The planet will survive. We won't. We won't. Because we don't really live in the planet. We live on top of the planet. We live in the atmosphere of the planet Earth. We live in this little teeny tiny, just little thing. This little thing. I want you to go online right now. I want you to look at pictures and videos of the International Space Station. I want you to look at pictures and videos of the Space Shuttle. Anything that can just get you a picture of the Earth from outer space. And then I want you to look at the edge of it, not the main center part. I mean, it's beautiful. The water and the continents, it's all beautiful. But I want you to look at the very outer edge, the rim. Because you get this nice little optical illusion at the very edge of the planet. Because the atmosphere is thicker than space. The light is bent through it. The light has a haze coming through it. It's like looking through, human pollution in a city or whatever. But still, you get this blue tint, this blue tinge, this blue effect to the starlight, to the sun's light. Because I think the scientific explanation for that is the other colors get blocked more easily, so then the blue comes through and it shines more brightly. I think that's the official scientific explanation for that. But anyway, our little blue atmosphere. And you look at these pictures, right? You can see it's just this little bitty, tiny atmosphere that we live in. And it's like a fingernail's width above the crust of the Earth. And we live in that. It doesn't get changed every day, right? It's contained right here on the planet. It does not get contained or changed. It doesn't get changed out, right? This is not motor oil on your car. We cannot go to planet Jupiter and have our atmosphere changed out. Our atmosphere is our atmosphere. And what's in it is what is in it for thousands, if not millions of years. I want to make this very clear. The stuff that we're putting in the atmosphere today will still be there millions of years from now. It takes that long to pull it all back out. Yes, the majority of the heavy pollutants, the heavy metals, the stuff that settles quite easily, the bigger particles, the heavier gases, is cleaned relatively quickly in nature because nature absorbs it. Nature has carbon sinks and this and that. But we have more serious problems than that. Because we're now not even looking at contaminants, the greenhouse gases themselves staying in the atmosphere for millions of years. We're now looking at the heating effect on our oceans. I'm going to explain this. I'm going to explain this as clearly as I possibly can. The planet Venus is 400 and something degrees to 600 and something degrees on a daily basis. If you was to land the space shuttle on Venus, it would melt. Most of the parts on the space shuttle would melt. The crew would die almost instantly because it is that hot. It is like being inside a pizza oven. All right? It's that freaking hot. Now, why is that planet so hot? Is it because it's a little bit closer to the sun? No. The reason why is because the atmosphere is much thicker, bigger, and it's full of greenhouse gases. Okay? Those greenhouse gases absorb the sunlight and keep that heat in. And so now we have what's known as a runaway greenhouse effect. The planet is on hot, the heater is on high, and it can't be turned off. It can't be turned down. You can't stop it. It is a self-perpetuating cycle. As long as that sun shines on the planet Venus, it's going to keep happening. And the sun will be there tomorrow, I guarantee it. If the sun's not there tomorrow, don't tune into this radio program because you have more serious concerns. Listen, we now are approaching a Venus problem with the planet Earth. Don't tune me out. This is science here. I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy. You look out the window and you're all, oh, everything seems fine. I mean, the air seems fine. I mean, it's like 40 degrees outside or whatever. It's 50 degrees outside. It doesn't seem like we're burning up. It doesn't seem like we're 600 degrees. It doesn't seem like we're the planet Venus. That's because things like this happen over a very long period of time. The planet Venus didn't just become 600 degrees overnight. It took it millions of years for it to get that way. But we are artificially inducing this now. We are accelerating it. And here's the thing. Scientists believe that we have a tipping point. We have a point of no return. A point where we hit and there has now been permanent ecological damage done to our entire planet. There has now been permanent climate change to our entire planet. And there's nothing we can do to undo the damage that's been done. It's permanent damage. And if we do nothing, we're going to hit that by 2046. We will hit the runaway greenhouse effect. We will hit mass extinction by 2046. We have a serious problem on our hands. We have a serious generational problem on our hands. This is the reason why this radio program exists. We have an older generation that live in a completely different time. They don't understand globalization. They don't understand the internet. They can't even check their mail without giving us a call and asking us for help. But yet they believe that their old, 2,000-year-old political ideologies are right and correct and proper and true when they're burning the planet up. They're burning up all the coal. They're burning up all the natural gas. They're burning absolutely everything up, and they are damaging your atmosphere while they're doing it. And they're now at a point where they have the power and the ability, if they do nothing else, if they just keep doing whatever they're doing right now, if they do nothing else, they will permanently fuck your atmosphere and your planet up forever by 2046. That's what the science says. That's what the IPCC report says. We've now hit that point. We've now hit that point where we can actually look at the data and say, there is a serious problem coming. There is a serious problem coming in our lifetimes. In our lifetimes. This is no longer a problem 100 years ago for our children's children to worry about. This is a problem right now that we know about. We know that we're doing it, and it is the height of irresponsibility for us to do it. And this is the reason why we're ignoring it. Let me explain why we are ignoring it. We are ignoring it because we don't actually see the effects. The majority of the heating, the vast majority of the heating, the actual heating that's taking place, is not in the atmosphere, because the atmosphere is like the very last thing to warm up. The majority of the heating is going into the ocean waters, down into the ocean depths. It's going down there, it's sitting down there. And it can take thousands, if not millions of years for that heat energy to come back out. Once you've warmed up the world's oceans, it stays warm for a while. I mean, come on. Do you think the world's oceans is like a jacuzzi and it only takes 45 minutes to get ready? No! We're talking about immense amounts of heat and energy that it takes to turn all the bottoms of the entire world's oceans, the deep, into just 2 degrees hotter. And I know that doesn't sound like much. But just 2 degrees, is enough to seriously mess up this planet and our species permanently. And that's not me talking. That's not me making this up. That is the scientists, and that is not your liberal scientists getting together and making this decision. That's not your conservative scientists getting together and make this decision. This is scientists from all over the world. They are not getting paid by some, Uncle Sam authority figure. They're not getting paid by some Koch brothers research group. They have been conscripted to come together and to come to consensus on this and to argue it out until they make the data make sense. And you know what? They have consistently gotten together time and time again, and they have said the exact same thing. We are all screwed. Stop! Stop! Stop raping the planet. Stop this unbelievable expansion of industrialization with no regard whatsoever for pollution or the environment. Folks, we can have it both ways. We can absolutely have it both ways. That's what Organizing for Humanity was founded upon. The idea that we can have it both ways. Not only can the human race expand and thrive and reach 25 billion in my lifetime, not only can we do that, but we can feed every last one of them. We can feed every single human being. We can feed every single family. We can make sure that they all have housing. They all have clothing. They all have transportation. They all have education. They all have medical treatments. And they all have transportation. Transportation to the moon base, to the Martian base, to the base around Jupiter. It's time for humanity to start building again. It's time for us to start building grand and wondrous things. What we can make now is not what we have now. Americans, if you're listening to me, I just want you to know this one thing. You live in 1979. You live in 1982. The American infrastructure has not been updated in over 30 years. You are in a time machine. You're like a really big North Korea. It's the land that time forgot. You don't have modern infrastructure. You don't have modern economic policies. You don't have modern job rights. You have nothing. You have old 1960 trains. You have old 1950s bridges. And you have old 1940s houses. How can you expect to be saved when the people that you turn to save you don't even understand the technology around them? Have you ever watched a congressional testimony or a hearing or anything like that? Have you ever actually watched our representatives at work and the questions they ask? It's pathetic. We have a Congress that does not even understand the technology that exists anymore. Silicon Valley 8 years from now will be more powerful than Uncle Sam. If you think governments can keep up with the technological singularity, you don't understand the singularity. Technology is going to make it absolutely impossible to govern in the traditional sense of the word govern. The old British colonialism, the rich landowners have got to go. The entire system must go. If we continue this capitalist system, we will burn up everything. We will burn up our atmosphere that I was talking about earlier. The little atmosphere that we're in. We will burn it up. There will be nothing left of it. Before we consume all of our coal, the atmosphere itself would be unlivable. We would all have to walk around with scuba gear on. I mean, we would not even be able to live in our own environment. We would have to have NASA space suits. Let's hope that NASA's cooking up some sort of super robot that can clean our freaking air for us, because the Koch brothers are destroying it. And our politicians are doing nothing about it. Because now the Supreme Court has ruled that the Koch brothers can donate an infinite number of times to politicians. That's right. I ain't making this up. The rich man can now donate to your politician an unlimited amount of times. Now let me explain how we are going to change everything from the ground up. If you want to rebuild a pyramid, you don't start at the top. You rebuild it from the foundation up. What is the foundation? The foundation is human beings. What is the lifeblood of human beings? The common, everyday working man. Who drives real, true innovation? Who actually gets shit done? The working man, the common man, the wage earner. This is the final labor movement of the human race. After 2033, there will not be another chance for a labor movement, because human labor by that point will be completely voluntary. Automation in the workforce is coming in a very, very major way. Let me describe some of it. Let me describe what Organizing for Humanity is going to do. Organizing for Humanity is currently finalizing the plans to build and run a secret testing facility. This secret testing facility will be constructed at a location that has not yet been chosen, although I've been looking at multiple land purchase options. This facility will be constructed with my money, because if this is a bad idea, I don't want you, the listener, to have to pay for it. But after you hear the idea, I hope you will agree with me. It's not bad at all. It's exactly what we need. In order to build a distributed food grid, we must first achieve almost full automation. We're we're going to build community gardens, and the community gardens are going to be tended to by drones, and the drones are going to have tools that link up to the bottom of them, and the tools do certain things like plant a seed, move dirt, water a plant, harvest a tomato with snippers. Each tool will have a specific purpose, and it will just snap on and snap off, lock on, lock off. The drone will automatically do it. The drone will hover over the tool, come down, pick up the tool, and it's off to do its job. It'll come back, put the tool back down at its base, and then it'll land on its charging pad. When the drones land at rest and they're on their charging pad, they just charge. If a drone is called to work, multi-copters, I shouldn't call them drones because people think drones and they think Barack Obama's coming to get me with a Scud missile or something. So we should call them multi-copters because that's the more accurate definition of what they are. The multi-copters will then be able... Look, I'm going to build it in a very simple way. The multi-copters will be able to swap their batteries on their own. Nobody's going to be there to swap batteries for them. They will pop in and out like the old Black & Decker drills that you used to be able to buy at Home Depot. The batteries themselves will pop in and out. So when a multi-copter gets called to, say, harvest a tomato, but it currently doesn't have a battery to do that, right? Because right now, battery limitations is a serious problem with these multi-copters and workforce automation and construction automation and agriculture automation. It's that the batteries don't last long. I know, I've been designing these things, and right now we're looking at industry standard is around 25 to 30 minutes for a good multi-copter, right? But that's fine. We can get around those limitations because this is all lithium polymer technology, lithium ion technology, which is expected to grow at a rate of 4 to 7% every single year. That's energy capacity rate growth, right? So that makes it viable over the next 5 years for this industry that I'm attempting to start to exist. These drones will go and they will do the work right there on the farm, and then they'll come back, and if their battery is low, if they've been working for 15 minutes and the battery is starting to get low, they'll just come back over to the charging station where there's 10 batteries lined up fully charged and ready to go, and they'll just pop one out, pop one back in, and keep working. And this will all be autonomous, and it'll be run by a central master control program. The master control program will control all the drones, and it will have an awareness of where all the drones are at any given time so that the multi-copters will be able to swarm. They will be able to work in synchronicity. They will be able to fly amongst each other without colliding. This is key. This is absolutely key. A conveyor belt system that, I like model trains. I think model trains are kind of neat. And when I took my daughter to Disney World recently, I saw these outdoor trains that they had set up at Epcot Center. And it gave me a wonderful idea. You don't have to send a guy that you pay $2 an hour to the tomato plant to harvest the tomato plant. You can just send the multi-copter to it to harvest it. And then to put the tomato into what basically is just a really cool model train that will then take it to a loading area, and then there will be another multi-copter that will take it out of the loading area and put it in its package, and it'll be packaged, it'll be ready to go, and then the delivery drone comes. The delivery drone is going to be a completely different design from the worker drones or the scout drones. The delivery drone will be designed from the ground up to carry as much weight as possible for as long as possible. The idea is so that you can expand around. Now, we're going to start off in suburbs. We're going to start off in suburbs because full cities and full communities, like I've just shown, the drone technology is not there yet. It's not there yet. The multi-copters go up in the air for 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes at a time, but they can't stay up for hours. Now, hold on. Folks, we are currently working on designs that incorporate fuel cells, and they can stay up for hours, if not days at a time. But we're not there yet. Not yet. We're still 2 years away from that. So in the beginning, OFH will be selling basically custom designed organic food to your upper middle class young professional, your typical American who loves Whole Foods Market, your typical American that does not trust the standard agriculture industry, the standard Monsanto or Tyson or whatever major food corporation you want to talk about, your standard American now is starting to doubt his own food supply. He's starting to doubt his own water supply. He's starting to doubt that these things are safe for him. So we're going to feel that need. We're doing what the capitalists say can be done. The capitalists swear up and down. They swear up and down that one man in a garage can just one day come up with the next revolutionary idea, and through the power of the free market, that idea will bolster to the front, and his technology will transform the world, and people will get behind it because they know that it works. They know that it's the right solution, and it's what people want, and it's what people demand, and because you are meeting that demand, they will meet you with a positive response, and you will grow, and your product will grow. The capitalists have been telling us all our lives that this can happen. The capitalists have been telling me my entire life that this could happen. That one man could solve the world's problems. One man could come up with an organization to solve the world's problems. Well, I'm trying it. I'm trying it. Let it be said 50 years from now, 60 years from now, that I tried. We're going to build these drones. We're going to build these community gardens, and we're going to do it around suburbs at first, upper middle class suburbs. And these people are going to help us build them, because we will have advertising campaigns where we will show people the benefits of having this locally grown food delivered straight to your door whenever you want for $20 a month. You just can't beat that. There's nothing on the market that comes anywhere close to that. Custom tailored food. You customly grow it, but in an automated way, so that you don't actually have to get in the car and go to the community garden every day and tend to your plants. Now, some people are going to want to do that. Some people will want to do that. And we should build our facilities so that those people can come and do that. But the majority of people will not want to do that. They will just want their little custom tailored, oh, look, a drone is delivering food. It's a status symbol. We are giving them a status symbol. We are allowing them to have a new technology before the lower class gets it. That way, they pay for our expansion plans. That $20 a month is going to go for us to expand our facilities, to build thousands more of them worldwide. And then we'll start growing. We'll start building them in impoverished areas and impoverished nations in Africa and Haiti and India. All of this, it's all possible. We can do skyscraper farming. It's all possible. Ocean farming, it's all possible. But we have to start small. We have to start small. We have to start with multi-copters delivering custom vegetables to upper class folks that just want something a little better than the grocery store. That's where we have to start. But we can handle every single problem all at once, because when I build these facilities, not only are they going to be 100% solar and wind powered, they will have a surplus of energy so grand that there will be enough energy right there stored on site in a combination of batteries and compressed air is what we're currently looking at. The current designs show that we're going to store compressed air under the ground. And then that compressed air will be leaked during the night when the sun's not shining. It will be leaked slowly through a pipe, and it will go through a pneumatic motor. And that pneumatic motor will drive a turbine or generator, whatever you want to call it. And that generator will generate electricity. So you will have constant 24/7 power to power all of your stuff. Everything will be powered. We're going to have a surplus of power. We're going to have plenty of energy. Organizing for Humanity exists to show humanity exactly what solar power is capable of. Solar power is capable of generating way more energy than nuclear power. You have to understand, nuclear power is just stored solar power that we are now extracting. It is stored solar power that we are now extracting. But we already have a fusion reactor in the sky, so all we have to do is just catch that energy. We already get more energy every single day put on planet Earth just from the sun shining on us than all the nuclear reactors on Earth combined. On all the nuclear reactors that we could possibly ever build combined. There's no way. I don't care about thorium. Thorium's great for 2038, 2035, but by then we will have the singularity. Solar is here. Solar is here now. Wind is here now. I've seen scientific studies that show that wind can power all the planet, and that's just wind. We can get rid of everything else. Coal, nuclear, natural gas, we can get rid of it all, and only wind can power everything. Everybody's house, everybody's car, everything. That's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. Every single facility is going to have a data center, and those data centers will be working on scientific research. We are going to cure disease. We are going to cure all illness. I want you to join me. I am 100% serious about this. I am spending my own money to make this happen. I'm going to build this facility. I'm going to show you what our technology, what human technology can do, and we're going to rebuild the human race from the ground up. We are going to first alleviate all hunger on the planet. We are going to feed everybody, and we're going to do it with multi-copters.